Good afternoon and happy Saturday. And welcome to the Financial Mystic Sanctuary. My name is Martin Coward, and will be leading you through a noonday meditation and contemplative practice. The exact same practice that I've been following for almost 40 years. And the beauty of a meditation practice and contemplative prayer, it is the only thing that can liberate us from our ego thinking minds driven by fear. And if there was ever a time in the history of mankind, certainly in my short 65 years, we need to be liberated from the fears of our ego thinking mind. It is now. And I just wonder if possibly the pandemic of COVID-19 and Donald Trump's approach to leadership, an approach to leadership that's driven by fear to separate us, to dominate and control, isn't creating the perfect storm to finally liberate all of humankind from its addiction to fear. Maybe we needed something this so narcissistic in an office that holds the highest power in the world, to bring us to a new bottom, if you will, that is so painful that we have to let it go. We have to find a new way. And I discovered years ago, 40 years ago exactly, the art of contemplative prayer and meditation as a way of letting go of all those narcissistic and fear-driven worries and problems in my life. And what happens is, once I let go of those fears and realize really the truth of who we are and who I am and who you are, all those narcissistic concerns literally dissolve. But I've been there too. We all can get pulled back into our addiction to fear. The human ego hey, Mindy, happy Saturday afternoon. Hello, Michael. How are you doing this afternoon? Here it is on this beautiful Saturday afternoon, and we're meditating, and thank you for coming together with me. I just can't do it by myself. So we need each other, and particularly today as we face this very difficult and challenging and scary situation we're living in. And as I was saying before you came on board, that perhaps this COVID-19 and Donald Trump's, it's not about Donald Trump and it's not about COVID-19. It's about the way they have positioned themselves together, if you will, energetically, to bring us possibly to a new bottom on our addiction to fear. Human beings have been addicted to fear since the beginning of all times. Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Since the beginning of all time. That's what drives war. That's what drives slavery. That's what drives the Holocaust. Fear is the underlying driver of all destruction. And we're addicted to it. We're addicted to the fear of not being good enough, the fear of needing to control others, the fear someone's going to take something away from me, the fear of not having enough money. We are addicted to fear. And I'm just, and for someone who was once really addicted to fear in a lot of ways, particularly fear around money, it is so liberating when we're no longer addicted to it anymore, individually. And I'm just thinking, if we can come together, if those of us that are on this call can come together and let go of our individual fears, whatever those might be, which is the acronym for false evidence appearing real. If we can all come together, which is why I do this, come together on and gather together like this and acknowledge that the fear exists. Acknowledge that we're addicted to fear first. If you've ever been in any kind of recovery program, the first thing we have to acknowledge our addiction and that our lives have become unmanageable. And I think the world has become unmanageable in the last few years because of its addiction to fear. And I just wonder if this is the perfect storm for that bottom, for us to actually accelerate the birth of a new freedom in the world, grounded in the truth of love, joy, and abundance. And today I want to read a little bit from Eckhart Tolle's book, Practicing the Power of Now. He wrote a book about 15 years ago called The New Earth, which it's exciting, really. It's not almost, it is exciting to reread that book today and see how close we are to creating a new world, not grounded in fear and our egoic needs to control and dominate, but really grounded in the truth of who we are, which is love, joy, and abundance and prosperity. We are true to dive deeper within ourselves to find out the truth of who we are and what we're capable of. And we're capable of creating a really beautiful and exciting world if we can just let go of our fear. The first thing is to let go of our fear. So let me see what Eckhart has to say. Excuse me. This is from his book, Eckhart Tolle, Practicing the Power of Now. It's the first chapter. It's called Being and Enlightenment. It's not too long, but I think it would be really helpful for all of us today to get some grounding, some footing, if you will, to what's going on with ourselves in the world and how we might position ourselves as an active participant in this movement to this is a move to freedom. So, being and enlightenment. There is an eternal, ever-present one life beyond the myriad forms of life that are subject to birth and death. Many people use the word God to describe it. I often call it being. The word being explains nothing, but nor does God. Being, however, has the advantage that it is an open concept. It does not reduce the infinite invisibility to a finite entity. It is impossible to form a mental image of it, of being. Nobody can claim exclusive possession of being. It is your very presence, and it is immediately accessible to you as the feeling of your own presence. It's only a small step from the word being to the experience of being. Being is not only beyond, but also deep within every form as its innermost invisible and indestructible essence. This means that it is accessible to you now as your own deepest self, your true nature. But don't seek to grasp it with your mind. Don't try to understand it. You can know it only when your mind is still, when you are present, when your attention is fully and intensely in the now. Being can be felt, but it can never be understood mentally. That peace is that surpasses all understanding. It cannot be understood by the mind. To regain awareness of being, to regain awareness of being and to abide in that state of feeling realization is enlightenment. The word enlightenment conjures up the idea of some superhuman accomplishment, and the ego likes to keep it that way. But it's simply your natural state of felt oneness with being. It is a state of connectedness with something immeasurable and indestructible, something that almost paradoxically is essentially you, and yet is much greater than you. It is finding your true nature beyond name and form. The inability to feel this connectedness gives rise to the illusion of separation from yourself and from the world around you. You then perceive yourself consciously or unconsciously as an isolated fragment. Fear arises and conflicts within and without become the norm. The greatest obstacle to experiencing the reality of your connectedness is identification with your mind, which causes thought to become compulsive. Not to be able to stop thinking is a dreadful affliction. But we don't realize this because almost everybody is suffering from it. So it's considered normal. It's considered normal to worry and be in fear all the time because we all have been in fear and we've been living in fear all of our lives as humankind. So it feels like we're human beings are just supposed to live in fear. This incessant mental noise presents you from this incessant mental noise prevents you from finding that realm of inner stillness that is inseparable from being. It also creates a false mind-made self that casts a shadow of fear and suffering. Yes, finding true nature beyond name. I don't know why this keeps blanking out. Because name and form is what's been created by the false sense, the false self, the nature. It's permanent and impermanence. There is no, it's impermanence. There is nothing permanent in what we see with our senses. This is exactly what you're saying, Mindy. Identification with your mind creates an opaque screen of concepts, labels, images, words, judgments, and definitions that block our true relationship. It comes between you and your between. Sorry, people. Should have turned that thing off. My place here. Between you and God. It is this screen of thought that creates the illusion of separateness, the illusion that there is you and a totally separate other. You then forget the essential fact that underneath the level of physical appearance and separate forms, you are one with all that is. Hey, Darceau, good to see you. And good to see you too. Yeah, internet connection is not good today. I don't know what's going on. I have no earthly idea what's going on today with that, but I can't control that. We'll have to just deal with it, I guess. We'll bear it with y'all. All are here, and we will get through it. Bad interconnect, and then I didn't turn off my phone. Some people are calling me, and Lord have mercy, I'm trying to. Everything happens for a reason, you know. I don't know what that is, but it does happen for a reason. I'm gonna repeat that again. It is this screen of thought that creates the illusion of separateness, the illusion that there is a you and a totally separate other. And that's what I was talking about before. That's what fear does. And that's what driving fear. It tries to create the illusion that white people are better than black people, or women are better than, are not as good as men. All these crazy notions that the ego mind makes up, and if you use those fear tactics to divide and to separate, it can think very destructive, and that's what I think we're feeling right now, is the destructive nature of some of this behavior by one of the most powerful, by a man who's in a position of tremendous power. And when you get a person in a place of that kind of power beyond his own understanding, quite frankly, then there's and who's ignorant to the true self of who he is, then it's ignorance. It's not that he's a bad person; he's just ignorant, and he's ignorant and he's scared, and he's using all that he knows to protect himself and in the world. And he's just when you get a narcissistic, selfish person in a position of power, it's dangerous. And I'm just wondering if perhaps between the COVID-19 and his position of power and his approach to governing, if you will, is the perfect storm to wake us up. To bring us to a new bottom, to wake us up to come out of the ashes to a new world. That's just one thought. I may not be right. I don't know anything really. It's just a thought that came across my head, and I thought I'd share it with you. The mind, this is good. The mind is a superb instrument if used rightly. Used wrongly, however, it becomes very destructive. I always like to say it depends on who's driving the bus. If my creative, aware mind, the heart space, my love, that's driving the bus, and my mind, my binary brain that's marvelous is the servant, obeying the orders of the heart, we're in good shape. But when my egoic mind needs to be right, it needs to run, and it thinks it's the only thing that's running the show, I'm in trouble. And I think that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about Trump he's got the same heart in him somewhere, the same we all have. But he's unaware of it. He's ignorant to it. So he's doing the best he can with what he has. And some people follow it. I think that's coming to a close. Just some thoughts today. Just some things to think about. If mine's the servant, it's being used rightly. But used wrongly, however, it becomes very destructive. And I think that's what we're experiencing. We're experiencing a man in power who's using his mind destructively to divide and separate, control. To put it more accurately, it is not so much that you use your mind wrongly. You usually don't use it at all. It uses you. This is the disease. You believe that you are your mind. This is the delusion. The instrument has taken over. It's almost as if you were possessed without knowing it, and so you take the possessing entity to be your The realization you are not the possessing entity, the thinker. Knowing this enables you to observe the entity. And the moment you start watching the thinker, a higher level of consciousness becomes activated. You then begin to realize that there is a vast realm of intelligence beyond thought. Infinite intelligence is what Napoleon Hill called this in his famous book, Think and Grow Rich. And those are the principles, the spiritual principles I teach as a prosperity coach on how to tap into that higher realm of consciousness, that infinite intelligence to make financial decisions so that you can make decisions about your business with the freedom from fear to build something creative and wonderful. So when you begin to realize there's a vast realm of intelligence beyond thought, that thought is only a tiny aspect of that intelligence, you also realize that all the things that truly matter, beauty, love, creativity, joy, inner peace, arise from beyond the mind, and you begin to awaken. Read that last paragraph one more time, and then we're going to meditate. You then begin to realize, the moment you start watching the thinker, a higher level of consciousness becomes activated. You then begin to realize that there is a vast realm of intelligence beyond thought, that thought is only a tiny aspect of that intelligence. You also realize that all the things that truly matter, beauty, love, creativity, joy, inner peace, arise from beyond the mind, and you begin to awaken. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. That's exactly right. The egoic mind doesn't even understand what compassion and empathy are. It's not from the heart. The ego thinking mind is that part of us that's trying to protect us. We need it, but we're not complete if that's all we have. So that's why it's very difficult for us when we've got a country, a world leader who has no awareness of empathy and compassion and transparency, and quite frankly, competence. The four core pillars of leadership are transparency to create trust, bonds of trust, empathy, compassion, and competency. Those are the four pillars of leadership or skills all good leaders need to practice and hone in order to be effective, powerful leaders in the world and in our lives. And that's what we do. Yeah, that's what we do. So let's set the timer. And let's do a little meditation here on Saturday. And see what happens. Okay. Can y'all hear me okay today? I realize my speaker is kind of far from where I'm sitting. Everything's a little disoriented here. So raise your arm. Let me see the fact that he doesn't bring out the fear in me. Let's see. In that egoic mind, there is no yes. In fact, that he doesn't bring out the fear in me. Well, some of the things he does are frightening to me. I mean, I'm not afraid of him, but I am afraid of some of the things he says because they can be dangerous, and people are. I mean, his lack of leadership with this virus has been dangerous because people unnecessarily have died, and in our government have lost their jobs, their careers, because so he is dangerous, um, and he is dangerous. I mean, when people are in positions of power like that, and they're they're drunk on their power, you could say, they're dangerous. And I think because of some of the things that have happened, uh, people dying basically, and his lack of empathy and compassion and leadership have created a new we've entered a new bottom, I believe, as a result of it. And I think we of our addiction to fear, and I think it's losing its it really is on you, yes. Um, and so then our next action is, how do we respond with love? So let's raise our arms up in the air. Everything is working wrong and correctly today. Hold on a second. Let me reset this timer. Okay, let's start. Let's sit down and be quiet. Get still. Before we do, raise your arms up in the air. Look, our arms are coming up so nicely. Our shoulders cutting well. Grateful. Hallelujah for that. Feel life running through your body right now. Feel it through your fingertips, your toes, your head. This being, this life living being throughout your body. Embody the spirit within yourself. And then bring your hands down to your heart. And with compassion, hold yourself. Hold your heart. Feel your life beating. Feel the preciousness of your life and the life of others. Because when you hold your heart, you're holding the heart of the universe, of all that is. So join me as we hold our hearts in compassion for all living beings today and in this moment. Out of compassion and empathy, we hold our hearts for all in fear and danger. Immigrants, transgender people, gay people, black people of color, people marginalized. Let's hold them in our hearts because they are in fear. They are in fear. People are in fear. And the antidote for that, the antibody for fear, is love. So let's hold all of us in a place of compassion and love for a moment. And get still. Allow your minds to get still. That mind, the egoic mind that wants to separate you from your heart, let it go. All the beliefs and opinions and judgments you have about yourself, this world, about God, COVID-19, about Trump, about politics, we don't know. Let it all go. Just let go. And allow yourself to fall back into love, back into joy, back into beauty, back into things that matter. Our lives are precious. Hold them. Hold them in your hands. Your life and the life of others. Just hold them in your hands with passion right now, and compassion, and empathy, and truth. And any judgments, any thoughts, bring them down into your heart and let them go. And be still and know that I am the divine. Not me, Martin. Be still and know that I am God. I am being. Be still and know that I am being. And this being is the creator of all things, visible and invisible. This being within me is connected to infinite intelligence, infinite creativity, infinite possibilities. We're all one. Not me, Martin. Yes, this body is an individual, separate thing we call Martin. And that's not divine. But I am. The part of me that's here, speaks, listens, and lives is divine, as it is in you. There is no God out there. God is always within us. It is as close to us as life itself. And fall back into that. Let go of any sense of separation from yourself. Free. You have not unworthiness. You're good enough. And be still in the silence that you are loved. And I am loved. Be still and know that I am God, not me. I am not me. I am not me. I am not me. You hear me? Oh, Hello, and welcome back to our Saturday meditation. How you feeling? Birth of freedom? Can you hear me okay? There was some technical issues here today. I apologize for that. But can't do anything about it. Just have to deal with it, I guess, right? Anything going on you want to tell me about before we sign out? Otherwise, let's all go and prosper. Go out and prosper. Go out and experience the beauty of the world, love the world. You're welcome. Thanks for joining me. Let's get out and enjoy the world today. Get out and I love my neighborhood. You can probably hear it in the background. People in life, people in discussion. We say we get still. We don't want to still. We don't want to quiet the world. We want to quiet our minds. That's what we want to get still, so we can hear the outside world. We can appreciate the beauty and the love and what's going on in life. So thank you so much for that, and have a nice weekend. Thank you, you too. And I will see y'all Monday at noon. I'll be back. Until then, may love and prosperity prevail. Thank you.